up there. So Jeff Cogswell, he's one of our special anglers. I asked him if he would call in around 12. So if that works with you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hi, Dominic.
Sorry about that. I had to go do some technical stuff and not try to burn the place down.
Yeah.
But you were saying that Jeffrey might call in later. Jeffrey Cogswell might.
He's going to call in a little later.
Nice.
So you guys get me to, talk as much about fishing or anything else you guys want to talk about.
The guys have a bunch of questions. The first one I have is if you can. So the good thing about this, we do this when we bring in new coaches or coaches retiring or, all the other youth groups you probably saw on the website and maybe on the YouTube channel. Could you please explain to us your part in the Challenger, the Challenger thing you created, again, what you do there, what it's all about for people who don't know.
Yeah, so we have a very well-defined and narrow mission, and I always go back to our mission statement, and it's on our website, it's on our Facebook page. We promote the inclusion of the special needs community in general public freshwater and saltwater fishing tournaments. And sometimes I explain what it does not look like first, because those who have children special needs or you volunteer in the special needs community, maybe you volunteer with Special Olympics, we're slightly different. We're not Wish-A-Fish. We are all about participating in public tournaments, and it's about creating experience not just for your special needs. I call them charges, individuals. They're not always children. They can be adults. It's creating an entire experience for the family, and it's based on an incredible amount of excitement that the whole family experiences during public fishing tournaments. We really steer away from something that's exclusive to just special needs, because most of our community they're in Special Olympics. Special Olympics, we went to them in Virginia. We tried to say, hey, add fishing. They couldn't do it mostly because of the insurance. And we came out of, a bunch of the people who founded this came out of a program that was very inclusive at our high school. It was a powerhouse basketball school down here in the WCAC. But they had an options program at this elite type school, and my son was involved in being a manager of this elite basketball team. So, and then it came also out of my experiences in fishing tournaments down here along the Chesapeake Bay, and I knew I could never really compete. But these tournaments typically had a youth division and a lady division. And we'd go out, and we knew we couldn't compete with the big guys, because I was in a 22-foot center console. That boat's name was the Fish Don't Care, because I would say, from the bottom of the boat, the fish don't care. So,
that's pretty clever.
Yeah. I would find that the guys I would invite from the Washington area to come down and fish, they just would get behind. If we had youth anglers or lady anglers, we knew we weren't going to win it all, but we actually did win the youth angler division once. The last year of my younger son's eligibility in a tournament, he won, and these guys fought so hard for him and what it took for him to be what he was doing on that boat. And it was a really rough day, very, very rough day. I lost all my power, my electronics.
Jeepers.
We were turning in. I had a brother call me on the radio. He said, hey, go make one more try at this. And we caught this miracle fish. We had asked the tournament to do a special angler division, because I knew, this was the last year of my son's eligibility in the Spanish mackerel tournament. And so they couldn't do it because it was too last minute. But when we came into weigh-in, I had to warn them, look, I'm out of power. I have no electronics. If something happens, it's going to stall. It did. I hit a sandbar on the way in. but the rules specified that you had to bring in your fish by water. You can't park your boat and then come in by car. So as we're calling into the weigh station, checking up on the leaderboard, we learned, hey, look, this fish has a real great chance of winning. So the guys kind of demanded, Joe, you gotta do something. You gotta swim that thing in, and so that's what happened. So that story, and there's a lot more that went along with that story. It created so much good press for us that the following year they did add a special angler division, and from then on, that tournament has always included a special angler division in their tournament, and they still have a youth division, which is money there, and there's a ladies division, and there's money. And there's a special angler division, and there's money. And then there's the big boy part of the tournament, two elements of that. So, we can compete against, now when we compete, we get good charter boats in that tournament. And, we're trying to win the whole thing. And so it's about bringing these families in and creating an experience that's unlike any other. They all get behind their special anglers. But the parents and sometimes the people who are guardians of those with special needs, siblings. We have a lot of siblings that come out, like Jeff. You're going to talk with Jeff. His brother comes out to most of his tournaments and fishes with him. These guys are not just fishing in the special angler division. We are going for all-out wins. And you'll hear Jeff Cogswell. He's been super successful, and he's been one of the guys. He's actually brought in the top fish in one of these big boy, 90 boat tournaments, and took home, the biggest money prize in the whole tournament. So, we like to make these guys as absolutely competitive as they can be. So, anyways, I've talked on ad nauseum. You must have questions.
Oh, they do. I'm glad you.
Okay.
You better get some water right now, Joe.
I'll take a breath.
All right, guys.
Hey, so this is Catherine Conley, a.k.a. KC. So I understand that there's actually a book that's called Queen of the Bay, and it's basically tells us, about the whole fishing tournament. So can you tell us a little bit about the book, if you know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things we did years ago, we found it difficult to always take out anglers. The number of people we could get to fish on some of these big boy boat tournaments was difficult because you had to find boats. Some people have special needs. They can't spend all day out on the water. I mean, you can be hostage on a boat, or you have to get really big boats. And we really wanted to find a pier tournament. There really were no good pier tournaments in our region. So we created what we call the Queen of the Bay tournament. And part of it was the top female angler would earn Queen of the Bay honors. And that's what we made it a public tournament. That tournament, we did two of them in Cape Charles on the eastern shore of Virginia. Those tournaments were the biggest pier tournaments in the nation, biggest money pier tournaments in the nation. And we helped put that on, and it was an absolute public tournament. But there's legends that developed from that about this lady, Mary Boleyn Tiara. So there's a lot of really fascinating history, and it even goes back to New England. Your Admiral Captain John Smith plays a big part of that. So that's really tied into this, what we call this Jamestown mystery. But don't feel like you guys are being left out, because New England, you do show up here. There's definitely some ties. But the big part of that story is this is a spy thriller. It was written inside the intelligence community, so it had to be approved by their agency, their publications review board. So the trade craft is extremely authentic. Certain aspects of the mystery about the sinking of the Santa Margarita is protected. But all of that is blended into this story that includes our special angler program. And, I just hope the community is just going to love it, because they're going to see their kids in this, and how some of our hero and heroine, Amanda West, who always loved and was involved in Special Olympics, has to face her father, who all of a sudden she finds has learned how to love people, and he's doing this special angler thing in the Northern Neck, and she's estranged from him, but she finds that he's really turned his life around, and she meets this other guy that doesn't really know how to deal with special needs. He's got two very healthy daughters, and so towards the end of this story, they're thrown into this tournament, and it's going to look a lot like what's been in our history and characters that have been in our history. So it's extremely realistic in so many ways, and it's interesting. When the manuscript was first written, a lot of what was fiction became very nonfiction. And I don't want to be spoil the whole series for people yet, but pick it up, order it. You can find it on Amazon today. The hardcover just showed up there. You can purchase that now, but the Kindle version shows up on Valentine's Day, and that's because our beta readers, after reading it, they kept saying, "Wow, this is really an incredible love letter to the Northern Neck." They said it just captured so much of the life and the people and the environment of that region, kind of like Where the Crawdad Sings type of a book. So the reviews have been good. At least the people, saying they love it. They love the characters. I hope they really do. I hope they get behind Amanda and Jeb and cheer them on to the rest of the series.
Very good. Joe, we're going to take our first break. And we'll be
okay.
All right. So we'll be back in probably about about a minute and a half. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. We have the privilege of having Joe Smith. He is would you be considered the executive officer of the Special Angler?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. See,
yep.
I got that right.
Yeah.
Oh, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And she was just saying we're trying to get more subscribers to our YouTube channel. We'll be back with Joe Smith as we touch on the Special Angler Division that he takes care out there right out in Arlington, Virginia, that area. We'll be back with him and more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA. You can go to our website, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. We have Joe Smith, the executive officer of the Special Angler Division. We're going to touch on that more, and his book. If you want to call him before Jeff Caldwell calls in, he is Joe, he's considered probably the leading scorer, the leader in the clubhouse, as they say.
Yeah, he is actually the reigning national champion, and we extended the 2022 season. Had we closed the season out for 2022, he would have held on to the big trophy. We do what's called a national ranking points tournament. It's based on results of all the tournaments in the country in which these individuals compete. And any tournament, any public tournament they compete in, they can get participation points. And if the tournament actually has a special angler division, the point tally for that tournament becomes much larger. So, for instance, Jeff competed at Bay Bash, hosted by Ingram Bay Marina by one of our beloved charter boat captains, this guy named Captain Billy Pipkin. We can't say enough about this guy. Best charter captain on the bay. But when we have a lot of anglers that participate in the tournament, they can receive up to 1,100. First place can earn them up to 1,100 points that goes towards national rankings. And those points get tallied up for all their tournaments. We want to see at least 4 eligible tournaments every year before we do we give them the big trophy. And what we really like to do, and what we're trying to do is with this book too, is raise enough funds to where we actually say, hey, this next tournament is going to end our season, and at that tournament we're gonna hand out our big trophy. They get to keep it for a year. It's kind of like the Stanley Cup. We put their plaque with their name on it for that year, and there's also the name of the team that was the leading point scorer based on all the special anglers that were part of their teams. It's typically a charter boat captain that scored points based on what their special anglers did. So that's what that is.
No, that's fine. I was just curious on that as well, because I know he doesn't get the talent from the father. It must be the mother. I met the father.
I wonder if Alan is listening.
Oh,
so
yeah,
Don,
he's probably listening.
So we get both. Yeah, we get both. Case like Jeff. I've had. Sometimes we get Jeff's father who's out on the boat. Sometimes we get Donna who's out on the boat. Sometimes we get his brother and his sister-in-law.
Nice.
And this is something we're very proud of, is when we get family members, sometimes a whole family. We like to cover. So we're kind of like Special Olympics in that if we bring, have one of these tournaments, we like to pay the whole thing. Well, if you're coming in from out of town, we take care of the hotels. We take care of your charter fees for the boat. We put you on a great boat. We want the whole family there.
Nice.
And, yeah, we want the moms, and we've had several moms who have actually placed in these ladies' divisions. We've had youth anglers place in these divisions. And it's, of course, as a team, we've had very good finishes as a total team on a boat. But it's intended to be a family experience, and we want all the siblings to be part of it. It's an experience for everyone, and that's what really makes us different. And I'm heavily involved in Special Olympics. I love Special Olympics. I ref basketball in Special Olympics, but I don't, I'm not, the only way I'm on the court is if I'm reffing, right? But I'm not, playing in some of these sports and competing unless you're a coach. So, but in these tournaments, you are really part of the team, and you're just as much in this. And it's a total shared experience. That's kind of what's really unique about us.
All right, guys, what do you got?
Do you want questions?
All right, sure. My first question is, what do you think is the best part of doing all this fishing together with everybody out in this community?
Well, the coolest thing we have going on, I think, is when we've brought in volunteer groups to join us. Like these Queen of the Bay tournaments are incredible. Even Bay Bash, we bring in volunteers. They're often church youth groups, and we really try to find people who absolutely love God, because we know if they love God, they're going to come down and they're going to love our community, our special needs community. And we bring them together. It's a great fun time. The public that comes, like if we're putting on a public tournament, one of these peer tournaments, or even Captain Billy's Bay Bash, people are so blown away because it becomes such an interactive, inclusive event. They love it. The whole public loves it. They love us when we get involved. We create relationships. We use this live leaderboard system. A lot of tournaments, you have no idea who's competing. You don't know everybody, the names of the people. When we're typically involved in a tournament or helping organize the tournament, I kind of like to say, hey, we help kind of set up the little plastic Christmas tree, but then the people come and they adorn it. They're the ornaments. It's what becomes life, and there's nothing like it, because we're creating all these social interactions, and people feel it. They know they're being loved, and it's inclusive, it's diverse, and it's diverse racially, it's diverse economically, it's diverse in every way, age-wise. So it's just a great experience.
Go ahead. What else you got?
All right. Is there any particular place that is the best spot for fishing?
So, you New Englanders.
That is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I understand, like, not every place would probably like work out in the long run.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I mean, I have a general idea, knowing Allen, where they're from, but I have no idea where they cast off from, or where they're fishing. Where the best fishing is.
There's one place that I know of. Maybe you could go fishing to, would be probably Bungay Lake in North Attleboro, probably.
Yeah, but you do freshwater too. Yeah, around here, correct.
Yeah, around here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, educate us, young man. I'd love you to.
Okay, yeah. So I did do my homework. Okay, before tuning into your show, I cheated. I made sure I looked around and looked at your, what your good fishing is. You guys have a lot of good New England fishing. But to answer that question specifically, where would be the best place to be? I mean, I wish that we were based in the Keys of Florida, right? They have year-round incredible saltwater fishing, but you guys have tournaments up there. There's tournaments everywhere around the country, and so it's always, for us, this is always the case. It's trying to find what we call ambassador families, people who are already kind of connected to these tournaments that, if they have a youth division or a lady division, you say, hey, why don't you, talk to your tournament directors, have a special angler division. And that ambassador family is kind of there to bring in those in the special needs community. And, if you find somebody who's attached not only to the fishing part of it, but they're already tied in somehow to like Special Olympics, they know how to connect and bring those individuals into the tournaments. And you got to be really careful. Most tournaments, they absolutely want to bring in a special angler division. The challenge is, once you do that, you got to make sure it's anybody going to show and support that division. So it can take a lot of legwork. I mean, even after you offer, hey, we're going to put you on a charter boat, we're going to pay for the charter if it's a charter. But some of these freshwater tournaments, they don't need big charter boats. It's funny because before we were actually a full nonprofit, and we were getting people to volunteer, like private boats, to take special anglers out. Sometimes it was easier because people could just do it just because it's not formal, and sometimes it was easier. But then when we kind of had to formalize things, then people are like, oh, liability issues. And then only the people with Coast Guard licenses or, full liability would take on us being able to pay for the charter. But what we really like are family members who already go out fishing. You have a cousin, a niece, a nephew, a grandson with special needs. If you're fishing in a tournament, bring them along, make them part of the tournament. That's the best model that works. And that's really how this worked from the beginning, is we were all just doing it not as a formal organization, but as a very informal network of, hey, you got a boat, you got a daughter with Down syndrome, get her out there, let's compete. I've got a boat, I have my son, let's go head to head in this thing. They have a special angler division. So
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, you can find it. There are tournaments up in your area. There's plenty of tournaments, mostly along your coast. A lot of, your big fish is striper. But you got some good flounder stuff south of you. You got a lot of trout up there, a lot of, bass fishing. Your cod fishing is just it picks up in earnest in March. So.
Right. He definitely did his homework.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we have someone else on the call. Hi, you're next. Yo, thank you for joining the conversation here on 4 Deep Sports Talk.
How are you?
Hi, is this Jeffrey?
Yes.
Jeff, so now we have the heavyweight champion of the world on the other line. Jeff, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys, too.
I'm Dominic. Here, Catherine Conley, a.k.a. KC, the Sportsmaster. Justin Ferrer. So we're about to take a break, Jeff. Can you guys hold on one more minute?
Yes.
Joe, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Absolutely. I'm here for the whole duration.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to step away
I
now.
I want to hear our champion talk.
That's it. That's what I want to hear. All right, we have the pleasure of having now Jeffrey Cogswell on the line. Of course, Executive Officer Joe Smith, as we talk the fishing out there. Yeah, thank you. I brain farted for a minute. We'll be back with them and more right after this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk here at 1320 AM WARA. and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. And please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all one word, 4Deep Sports Talk. And we have Jeffrey Cogswell on the line. Are you guys still with us?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is Catherine Conley, aka KC. So I want to know, Jeff, what's the best part about fishing?
Best part about fishing is, just it's fun, and it's the camaraderie of everybody, the group with special anglers. We get out as a group, and it's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people, and there's a lot of new experiences. It was for me my first year in 2019. I haven't done any competitive fishing like this. So 2019 was my first year, and I enjoy it. When you have individuals and people like Mr. Smith that can get an organization going for us individuals with special needs and do what he does for us. It speaks a lot about himself and what he does for us. It makes it it's fun and relaxing.
That's really cool.
My next question for you is, what's the biggest fish that you have ever caught?
The biggest fish I ever caught?
Yeah.
It was a freshwater catfish. I caught that down in the James River, down in Norfolk. It was a 15 to 25 pound catfish.
Wow.
Well, that's a big fish.
I also tournament wise with Joe in the Spanish mackerel in 2019. I caught a 27.5 inch Spanish mackerel, 4.48 pounds.
Wow.
And I got the Virginia citation for it, the biggest fish for Spanish mackerel for 2019 in the state of Virginia for that. So.
Wow,
for that
that's impressive.
And
how about the cash? How about the cash, Jeff?
I was going to bring that one up. I mean, we didn't know that this is probably one of my fondest moments of this whole tournament. And my peer, his son Travis Smith, was out there on the boat with us, and he was up there driving the boat, and I'm in the back, and he's up there with Captain Billy, and next thing I know, I got the fish on, and I'm sitting there, fish on, and I'm yelling, yeah, stop, slow down. And Captain Billy came back to help me. Next thing you know, the cash, that's why I had it on. We get in there, we didn't know it was the biggest fish of the whole tournament. So we get in there, and we go into the banquet, and Joe goes, I think we got the biggest one. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm, nervous. I'm walking around, pacing around, waiting. Next thing you know, we found out we had the biggest one. What was it? It was what? Was it 5,200, Joe? I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was 5,200.
Yeah, that was a nice wad of cash. That was a Calcutta.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh wow.
Calcutta.
Yeah.
So that was really, besides that was my biggest thing ever in a tournament ever, really, in my life, and any sporting event that I've been a part of.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Can I brag a little bit?
Yeah. I've taken to it a lot. What's that?
Can I brag a little bit more about you, Jeff?
Yes, sir. If you can go ahead. I'll let you.
So I do want to tell this story because I recall as Jeff started fishing in these tournaments, he went on, it was this very uncanny win streak. Jeff, I think you went like 8 tournaments undefeated, which is, we couldn't explain that because sometimes there is some amount of chance with some of these tournaments. There's a lot of skill. It's like NASCAR in terms of getting on a good crew, having a good boat captain, depending on the tournament. But once you're on the same boat, Jeff kept beating from nine consecutive tournaments. Now, finally, Jeff was beaten last year late in a tournament late in the afternoon, a dark horse, a local young man, beat him. So, but Jeff, that was an incredible, uncanny win streak. So, wanted everybody to know that.
So no, that's great. So you probably, you know what, Jeff, you sound like you're athletic. I mean, you take a lot of pride in what you. You probably definitely don't get that from your father. You probably get that from your mother. So, what's your mindset though? How do you look into when you go into a tournament?
Mindset, I am, straight focus. It's right. It's relaxed the night before. I try to relax, but it doesn't happen. I'm so, I'm amped up. I'm very hyped the night before, and I don't sleep. I can tell you that I don't sleep. It's really, I try to, for me, there's no relaxation. I'm all juiced up about, getting into it and, attacking it. That's how I look at it. I go in and then, I go in to have fun, but I know I'm also there to compete. This for me is, it's the experience and the people that I'm around. And that's what, that's what, I take most out of everything. Winning these tournaments is great, but it's really the people that I meet and everything, all that. But how do I gear up for it? There's no really gearing up for it. The night before, I'm hyper. I am literally hyper. I'll stay up till maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Holy
and then we have to get up. We have to get up, and then we have to be on the boat by 6:15.
How long's the ride from the house to where you get the boat?
Well, so in the tournaments, we Joe, like he mentioned before, he would get his hotels at the tournament, provide hotels and stay. So normally from the hotel to where the boat is, it's like 15 to 20 minutes, maybe max. But the travel from my house, from like my dad's house to the location, is probably maybe an hour, 2 hours, depending on traffic. But we always go down the night before, the day before the tournament, the night before the tournament. So I'm there at the hotel, relaxing or hanging out down there. But I mean, like I said, it's really, there's no relaxation for me until I'm out there on the water with the group. That's like I said, competitive, and the night before I'm amped up, ready to go. But once I'm out there on the boat and around my fishing peers and the family, that's where I relax. Even though I'm there competing, it's also for me. The relaxation comes in is when I'm seeing my other peers, have fun and compete. I get the most joy out of that. That's what it means for me the most, is seeing everybody else as well have fun and compete. I mean,
Jeff brings a lot of trash talk to the tournaments too. By the way,
how much trash talk is there?
It gets quite a bit. There's a lot, especially afterwards. Especially when we come off the boat afterward. There's a lot of trash talk, because I actually became real close with our charter captain, and that's something that I didn't know until I went out there for my first tournament. Joe sent me an email an email and also a posting on the Facebook page about the charter captain. He's an alumni for the University from Alabama, and I had a close friend that I was close with, and she went to the University of Alabama. So I became a fan of Alabama sports, and I had all the fishing apparel. And so when he saw the gear on me in a fishing photo, he had mentioned, well, he's going to get along really good with Captain Billy, and I did. As soon as he saw that, it was an immediate, I'm good, good with him on his boat, and we just became close ever since then. And like, it's just, I don't know. I'm on words right now. I don't even.
You're doing a fine job, Jeff. Whatever you say is the right answer anyway, because we have no idea about this. That's why we have the.
Can I comment
privilege.
on something?
Sure. What would you like to comment on?
Yeah, so we were just talking about the book Queen of the Bay. So I actually looked it up on Amazon and I added it to my wish list.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
great.
That's nice.
Awesome.
Did you add 4 Deep Sports Talk to your wish list?
Well, if I could find it on there, I would.
What's the price of the book?
For the hardcover,
She doesn't know yet.
$29.99.
There you go. All right, so we're about to take a break. When we come back, guys, we're going to run down our scores from Friday night. It doesn't take us
We
that
only
long.
have a minute and 27 seconds left.
That's true. That's why I'm giving them an idea of what's happening next. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, yeah.
No worries. So, Jeff, we're about a minute 15 away from our next break. And when we come back, maybe we can touch more on Jeff's fired up over here. He's ready. He's almost ready for pro wrestling the way he's fired up.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then we can touch on that more. Then, Joe, I'd like to touch on anything we might have missed, before we go away. Because we only have like 15 minutes after we come out of this third and final break. But I really wanted to thank you guys for taking the time. I know I was picking on your father, but your father's a good guy. I had the privilege of doing 2 World Series with him, with Cal Ripken Baseball, which is a lot of fun. Good guy. But with that being said, we will step away. You are listening and watching for Deep Sports Talk here on the news station. When we come back, we'll have Jeffrey Cogswell along with Joe Smith, the executive director of this fantastic sporting event that they do every year. We haven't even really touched on when they get started, if you want to get involved and all that. All right, we'll be back with them and more as we run down to this final break. We'll be back with them and more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM, WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. We're going to get to Jeffrey Cogswell and Joe Smith, but right now we're going to run down the scores, and actually the winners, not the scores, but the winners of Friday night here in girls and boys basketball, and we have a hockey score as well, and we're going to touch, Justin's going to help me out with that. I'm going to run down the girls first as soon as it starts to play. And there it is. All right, here are your winners in girls basketball, Bay State Division: Weymouth, Framingham, Brookline, Newton North, and Walpole. Cape and Islands: Falmouth, Cape Cod Academy, Dennis Yarmouth, Falmouth Academy, and Bourne. Catholic Central: St. Mary's, Bishop Fian, Ushelin Academy, Cambridge. Catholic Central Conference: Malden Catholic is the only score in that. That was actually 60-39 over Everett. Hockomock winners in girls basketball: Foxborough, Franklin, Attleboro, King Philip, and Mansfield. Mayflower, Westport, Upper Cape, West Bridgewater, Old Colony. Patriot Conference: Quincy, Hanover, Scituate, Marshfield, Plymouth North. Hingham, South Coast Conference: Bourne, New Bedford, Middleborough, East Bridgewater, South Shore. It was Norwell, Middleborough, East Bridgewater, Mashpee, Rockland. Southeast Conference: Bridgewater, Raynham, Durfee, New Bedford, Tri-Valley, Medfield, Medway, Millis, Norton, all winners, along with Westwood and Holliston. That is the girls' division in girls basketball. Here's Justin to wrap up the boys.
Okay, in boys basketball, in Bay State Division, we have Wesley, Natick, Needham, Newton North, Weymouth, and in Cape St. Islands, Nantucket, Falmouth Academy, and Dennis Yarmouth. In Catholic Central, Old Rochester, St. Mary's, Notre Dame, Lawrence. In Catholic Conference, Xaverian. In Hockomock, Milford, Franklin, Sharon, Attleboro, Foxborough. In Mayflower, Old Colony, Weston, West Bridgewater, Norfolk Aggie, and Blue Hills. In Patriot, North Quincy, Hingham, Scituate, Williamson, Pembroke, Plymouth North. In South Coast, Wareham, and Apponequet. In South Shore, Calvary, Chapel, Carver, Abington, Mashpee, and Randolph. In Tri-Valley, Westwood, Millis, Bellingham, Dover, Sherborne, Medfield, and Norwood. And now I'm moving to hockey. In boys hockey, in Bay State, Natick 5, Brookline 3. In girls hockey, Henson Silver Lake 3, Plymouth South North 3. Plymouth tied with 2:10 remaining in the game on a power play.
And there you go. Great job by the sportsmaster, doing what he does best. And again, we have Joe Smith and, of course, the heavyweight champion of fishing in his category, Jeffrey Cogswell. Guys, you're still with us, correct? I didn't lose you?
Hello?
Yes, still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh,
Yep.
thank God. All right, so first my question is, I want to go to Joe. And Joe, let's talk about when the season starts, how it goes, just to educate the listeners even more, and then we'll we'll talk to the champion.
Yeah, I love that question. So the season, it never ends, because one particular event that we do that's year-round is what we call the National Catch and Release Tournament. And anglers anywhere can be sending fish into us, and it's simply based on the different species that you catch all around the country. So the more you get around, the more different species, and it's based on the individual species count. So people can find that on our website and all the rules to that tournament. Right now, I think if I were to go to it, Joe Gittinger out of Cape Charles is leading that with 10. And typically we would have ended that tournament, but we said, no, we're going to extend that. And a guy like Joe Gittinger was taking a trip to the Keys, the Florida Keys, and he caught a few species, and they were unique because it's a totally different area. And he increased his count, his unique species count, beyond what he's normally catching there on the eastern shore of Virginia. So it's, it really helps to be in an area where you have a lot of variety. So saltwater is great, but if you're a guy, a gal that can fish or take your charge fishing both saltwater and freshwater, you can really help them and do really well in that tournament. So that's year round. And really anywhere we get special angler ambassador families that are willing to promote special angler divisions in public tournaments, and tournaments are year round. So, but this time of year, a lot of the stuff is going to be in Florida, South Texas, a lot of the saltwater fishing tournaments. But, the bass fishing picks up, in some of these southern areas by now February, March too. So, the season is year round.
Oh, wow, that's great. So, when do you go from the ocean to the freshwater ponds? How does that work?
So, that all depends on when people do public tournaments. But you can, anybody who wants to do just the catch and release, there's people who are catching fish like down here in the winter in some of these ponds. So, your ponds are probably more frozen, but I'm sure like up in Minnesota, those people are ice fishing, right? So, and that's part of the fun of doing this is you get to learn about all these different types of fishing and techniques and different species. When Joe Gittinger just sent me these fish from Key West, I had to try to figure it out because I'm not used to getting catches from that area. So it's like, what species is this? Makes it more interesting. Normally we ask people, get some guide to help identify the fish to aid in that.
I got you. So, but we only have we have about 2 minutes left. So in a minute, or maybe hopefully in 30 seconds, could you guys maybe give a couple shout outs to people that helped you along, or people, you want to say thank you to before we step away?
Yeah,
Sure.
Jeff, I know who you're going to say, and I'm going to say the same person. Go ahead.
Yes. Captain Billy, fishing down there at Ingram Bay Marina. That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, the guy has a huge heart. Yeah. He's got an incredible heart, and when we get on his boat, he just really cared for us. And I think you'll see some of that echoed, in some of the characters in that book. You're going to see, a lot of funny things, and his funny thing about being there, banana on the boat, things that are part of our history. You're going to see little stories like that kind of show the way these people put love on us. There's a deep appreciation for a lady named Kathy Pittman, who was the first. They had their Dreamfield Spanish Mackerel tournament supports their little league, and it was often we had to be careful that we wouldn't overshadow them because sometimes there'd be more money in our division than there would be in a youth or lady division, and we needed to work very closely to say, no, let's just make it equal. We're not here to, and sometimes we could overshadow.
Yeah.
There was so
Hey
much
guys,
I'm sorry,
we got to step away. We just ran out of time. I wanted to thank you guys for coming on and keeping in touch.
No, you're more than welcome.
You.
Dominique.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
on.
for having us.
Thank you so much.